Adele was compelling because she was a mixture of so many so many complicated things and so many simple things as well. You know, this was a woman who had absolutely lost her way and lost her sense of self, lost her sense of femininity, sexuality, lost her drive, her zest for life because of the sadness that she had experienced. And, you know, she was a sort of a burning flame when she was younger, and to have gone through so much and to have that flame all but put out, you know, struck me as something that was not only incredibly sad, but admirable actually how she had managed to carry on living as much of a life as she did and raising her son. You know, the one thing she was able to do was to be a good parent and to do it very, very well. You know, her child was a really great boy. And I think there's a heck of a lot of courage behind that and strength in that. So the combination of fragility and vulnerability in her combined with the strength was just fascinating. I loved the way that, you know, you put these two people, Frank and Adele, together in the most unlikely of circumstances. And this very natural, very simple thing happens between the two of them, which is that they have a connection. You know, they'd lived for a long time in a certain degree of isolation, hers because she just didn't feel she could go out into the world, and his because he was in prison. But at the same time, what they hoped for in life was to be happy and to find a partner and to have a really simple, just lovely existence. And actually meeting two people in the most unlikely of circumstances who both wanted the same thing was quite special. And the way that the love story unfolds and you see this sort of gentle connection that is formed between them, which isn't salacious. You know, there's no nudity, you know, there's actually very little kissing even, but you don't doubt for 1 second that those two people are supposed to be together. And it's very clever, the story, in that sense, because you really don't expect it. I think Jason as a filmmaker is well, not only is he incredibly skilled and a wonderful storyteller, but he isn't afraid to just try something new. I mean, all of his films have been very different, and one thing that we've been hearing a lot actually in the last 24 hours is, wow, this is a very different film for you, and why did you make this choice, Jason? And it's really odd because I don't think he's even particularly aware that he wasn't really making a specific choice, I don't think. It was just something different, another different story to tell, and you know, that's what makes a great filmmaker, is someone who's prepared to try something new and take those risks. So the writing for me, I think the most striking thing about the writing was that it was very close to the book, and often with an adaptation that doesn't happen. But he was very respectful of the original story and of Joyce Maynard's writing style. And what happened in the film actually was that, although you don't really notice it, there isn't that much dialogue. I mean, there isn't as much dialogue as there might have been in a lot of Jason's previous films, particularly Juno, which is all about conversation. But this film, you know, the looks and the pauses were the dialogue. And the camera angles and the way the sweat runs down the side of someone's face. You know, those moments were where a lot of the story is actually told. And I think that he did that very deftly with this script, because those moments don't happen by chance. They were written in. It's just that no one says anything. And that's also great writing. Gatlin honestly was the perfect Henry because he is very similar to that boy. He's a very, very gentle, kind, polite, respectful young man. And we were just so fortunate to have him. And at the same time, he really wanted to learn, you know, he really wanted to reach out and have someone to turn to, and he had lots of questions to ask. And I was very privileged to be the person who was able to do that for him and to be that sort of protective wing. And also I knew that I needed to create a gentle relationship with him off screen, whereby he would feel comfortable with me flinging my arms around him and giving a big hug at the beginning of every day. And you know, that not everyone is okay with that, you know, and certainly not a young teenage boy. But Adele and Henry do have a very warm, very close relationship in a way that is quite unusual, I think. And so I just knew that I had to achieve that level of trust with Gatlin off screen so that we could have it on screen. And I just felt very, very blessed that he let me do that.